Hello, this is Matt's Amazing Mazes, and I just wanted to share with my subscribers and my viewers that everyone has a signature move. Like in wrestling for a second, talk about that. The Rock, Dwayne Wade, he has a signature move. I think it's called the Rock Bottom. It's a signature wrestling move that he puts on people as a finisher. But I have signature um, maze patterns that I put in my mazes all the time, and maybe you have noticed that they're very frequently put in my mazes all the time, like peace signs and stars and hearts. Those are the sort of signature patterns that I put into my mazes. And I want to share with you on how you can draw some of these signature patterns if you are willing to go along with me. Hold on. If you are willing to go along with me and watch me as I do this, as I go along, I'm going to adjust my camera. And what I'm going to do, let me see if I can, I guess this is, how far is it's going to capture on video. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a peace sign and show you how I do this in my mazes. So what I do, okay, what I do is I draw the peace sign like so. Like that. Like so. And what I do now is I draw the curvature of the peace sign like so, like that. I make sure each end of the peace sign has a space where it can go through as a path. Like so. So let me show it to you. Like that. And what I would do is I would put like frames on it. I would go like so, like this. Well, it's not perfect, but you get the idea. And then what I do is I draw the frame of the maze. And this, I guess, would be the start. And this would be the finish. As I say, this is just a quick sketch. This is not how I really draw my mazes in this quality of what I'm doing now. I usually draw them in very good quality and take my time at it. But I'm just going through this kind of fast to show you an example on how I draw my mazes. So, how I explain this is I go to start, and I do corners and spaces. So I drew two spaces, one right here, another one right here. One would be the true pathway out, and the other one would be the dead end. So just focus. You have to multitask on different pathways that you form in the maze. It's like you can focus on 5 dead ends at a time, putting 5 dead ends in the maze, but you focus on the other pathway, which is the true path. And it kind of varies every time you draw pathways. You don't know, you really don't know how many. Well, you can speculate and estimate on how many pathways you can choose to make, and the one being the one way out. So um, you can try to manipulate on how where the pathways will go to in the maze too, so you can plan it out and. Like for an example, I'll count how many pathways there is in the maze. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So there's 4 pathways. Let's say that this pathway right here will be a dead end. So I'm going to exaggerate how lengthy the pathway is until I determine on when I make it a dead end. See, now I made it into a dead end. As we speak right here, this is the dead end. So I'm going to work on this pathway. I'm going to work on this pathway now. And let's say I'm going to space this way out. And I'm going to space this way out. So now that one pathway turned into two spaces. One right here, and one right here, and one right here. So I'm going to make those two into dead ends. And then I'm going to leave this as a pathway right here. So now I got an extra pathway. So let's count how many pathways is in the entire maze. There's one pathway right there. There's one pathway right there. And there's another pathway right there. So we got 3 pathways in the whole entire maze. Now, 2 out of the 1 pathways will be dead ends. 2 of the pathways will be dead ends. And 1 will be the only one way out. So I'm going to focus this one to be the dead end. You see how you get the idea of what on how I'm multitasking, on drawing pathways, keeping track of all the pathways, and determine what most of them will be dead ends and one will be the only one way out. That's the key factor on how you can get a hang of drawing these hand drawn solvable maze art. But I'm doing this on a lesser scale. I usually draw them very sophisticated in this, so sometimes it get a little hectic. But I'm gonna turn this one into a dead end. And now I have developed another pathway which is right here. So that still makes it into 3 dead ends because this one had been turned into a dead end right here. So I'm going to meet up with the other pathway with this pathway, and there'll be 2 pathways coinciding with each other. And then I'm going to meet this one over here and this one over here. Now I have used up all my dead ends, and there's only one true pathway, and it's right here from the start. So I'm going to start linking the peace signs arms to the maze itself, because I hadn't done that yet. So I'm going to say this is the way to go into the peace sign, and there's 3 pathways you can take from the peace sign. You see, I'm going to try this pathway, branch off other pathways that goes into this maze. Made that one into a dead end. Okay, that pathway is all completed, being dead ends. So I'm gonna work on the center pathway of the peace sign. And I'm gonna work with the other branch of the peace sign, the other pathway. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be working with them together. Kind of branching them off in different areas. Drawing other pathways, branching them off into dead ends. I'm gonna make this one. This one's gonna be the true path out of the maze, and this one's gonna be the dead end, the perpetrator. And there you have it, a finished product. As an example, of course. But I'm going to show you the maze here. Took me less than about 10 minutes or so, maybe close to 10 or 15 minutes, maybe not even longer than that. But this is the maze, and I explained it to you the best way I know how to draw it, and maybe you can go to a much more narrow scale and make it the pathways a lot smaller to make it more sophisticated and more pathways to fit in if you wish to make a difficult maze. This right here is pretty much a medium-sized maze. The pathways are medium size. Okay, so let me get, get it closer here to look at. Now I'm going to share a secret that maybe people know about or maybe not know about. But if you work the maze from the finish to the start, it's kind of like a cheat sheet where it can reveal the dead end. Because the dead ends are going forward to you from the start. The dead ends are, but if you go reverse, you skip all the dead ends, and it will reveal the true path from the finish to the start, instead of the start to the finish, which is really hard to do, because the dead ends will be facing you from the start, whereas the dead ends will be behind you when you go from the finish to the start, making it easier to solve, if that make any sense. So I'm gonna take a pen, and I'm gonna work my way out of the maze and show you what I mean about what I just explained to you just now. Okay, so we know that this is a dead end, but this is the way out right here. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. So that's how you cheat a maze, by working it from the finish to the start instead of the start to the finish. You see how short of a period of time that I solved my own maze. So but if I would have, I would have had some kind of an idea how to solve it, since I designed and created the maze myself. But if it was a maze that someone else designed and had made, it would have been difficult for me to solve it if I were to go to the start to the finish. I'll be having difficulties trying to find which pathway to take, you know. So this will conclude the tutorial on how to draw a peace sign maze, and how to incorporate patterns into mazes as a basic training type ordeal on how to draw mazes. So I'm going to conclude this video. Until next time, Matt's Amazing Mazes signing off.